Evening, everyone. We're here for the Finance Committee meeting. This is a new session of the meeting. I am the new chair. My name is Ghazala Bora. I'm going to go quickly around the room for the administration that's part of this meeting to introduce themselves. We do have a few extra in attendance today because of the agenda, but I still want to go around the room real quick.
Ms. Fabiano, Board President.
Adam Lehman, Assistant Superintendent.
Amanda Peck, Jamesburg Board Representative.
Usha Sharma, new member.
And the vice chair of the
Vice
Finance
Chair
Committee.
of Finance. Thank you.
Pete Piro for Board of Ed.
Jerry Tagg, Director of Facilities.
And the key member.
Laura Allen, Business Administrator and Board Secretary.
Cindy Sue Shallon, Food Service Director.
We have a very packed agenda today, so we're going to get started. The first item on the agenda is a carryover from the Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee discussion. We are actively considering an energy savings improvement plan with Honeywell, and Ms. Jackson from Honeywell is here, and Mr. Tague is here for that reason in the Finance Committee meeting. Just to give everybody a background, we've been looking into signing up with Honeywell, the Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee, after reviewing the few vendors and, feeling confident that we can move ahead with this, wanted the finance to do the due diligence. And I believe Ms. Allen and Mr. Tague and Dr. Chinley have had a pre-meeting, and we're going to go through the impact of such a relationship on our finances and do a quick review of that in this meeting so that the board can decide which way to move ahead with it. Thank you. So we can take it over. Yeah. Ms. Jackson, please.
Carolyn Jackson from Honeywell, joining us.
Sure. So, thank you. We're very excited for the possible opportunity being selected as your energy services company to do an energy savings improvement program, otherwise called an ESAP, or Energy Savings Plan, is first step in that. And what Jerry and Laura asked of me was if I could talk about the costs that we haven't looked at your buildings or developed a plan yet. That will all be paid for with energy savings rebates grants. But what are the additional costs or costs outside of that, right? So the idea of the project is that it's funded through the energy savings and paid for over time from those energy savings. So the first is when you enter into agreement with Honeywell, we offered and we gave a copy this week to Laura and Jerry of our project development agreement. There's a significant amount of work that goes into developing the energy savings plan, otherwise known as investment grade audit. So this is a sample from another school district. They only have 4 buildings. So we identify all the different measures, all the costs, all the savings, all the calculations. And this doesn't even include the calculations or cut sheets because those are too big. They're on a drive. So you can kind of understand that this is a big investment of our time. We think that would be time-wise, labor hours, some consultants for things that like different audits that we don't do in-house would be over $200,000. We've come to you with like a very partnering agreement because we feel very confident we're going to come to a project, and it was $96,500. That would be a break fee only matter if you don't move forward, right? So if you decided after we did all this work and presented all this information for you to have to not move forward, that would be the break fee to not, but again, we feel so confident. If you just said lighting alone, LED lighting alone, any part of the project that we do, that fee would not be relevant and we just move forward to be part of the project. Does that make sense for that piece? I have a couple other things to mention.
Yes. So
If I could just add one
Yeah.
item there, just for the board's information. This is very similar to when you've done referendums in the past. So when we engage the architect to do the preliminary work for a referendum, we have a fee, let's say $100,000. They do schematic designs, they do calculations, submissions to BOE, regulatory groups, et cetera. If the referendum passes, those monies are absorbed by the bond referendum. If they don't, then the district is responsible for those costs. So similar here, if you were to go down the path with Honeywell, have them develop this project for you, if for some reason, which I can't imagine there would ever be a reason, you decided, no, we don't want to go ahead with this, you would then compensate them for it. Yeah.
can I ask a question on that at this point? So I think there's a period of time in which you would prepare that report, right? Is that like hard and fast? Because that does depend on our staff providing all the information and access to all buildings and everything. So is your initial audit where you come up with that plan, is that very time constrained, like has to be in 3 months?
We've offered some, like time, like, some ideas of time in it, like, we'll try to do this
I
in
do wonder.
120 days when you sign, and provide us all the utility bills, but you've already moved on a lot of the utility bill
Got a lot
information.
of work on it.
So,
Already.
so, and again, and it's obviously, if anything happens, we can mutually agree, like, hey, this month doesn't work because this came up with the school district, so we're gonna move to the next month. So it's not like we're looking for a certain amount of time, but I guess once we provide the energy savings plan, typically we're working, the projects you're gonna do, we're gonna wanna like get ahead for the summer 2025 development, or as much as we can do in the summer. We do everything all year round. So if something changes, like as soon as we can move forward, we'll start with your lighting. So that immediately they'll have benefits. They'll save on maintenance of new LED lights, or new old, replacing your old lights, and you start saving energy as soon as that gets started. So yeah, so we did offer some timelines, and I've talked with Laura and Jerry about how we see the project going through. Sometimes things do come up and they change.
And when you do give that audit report, say your cost of putting that together was
Yeah.
$200,000, it has 7 items in it. We can only go ahead with 2 because we're looking for operating, and that's not a problem.
No, any project that we go forward with.
As long as we go forward with you
Mhm.
as the manager of that project,
Exactly.
there's no problems with
Yeah. No.
what we go for.
No, so in this example, we had like 20 measures that we looked at, and again, it's like a little planning for the tool for the facilities going forward, and then we have to mix and match with what the savings can be for, right? So it's in a prioritization too. And then sometimes grants and things come up that we can infuse into the project that help bring something to the forefront that wasn't there. So we'll have some workshops and talk with you, and there'll be a lot of interaction as we go through, identifying.
And if I may bring this up from the BGNT perspective that I have, our upfront costs at this point would be some engineering,
Oh, so I have a few other
Okay,
items to
go ahead.
mention. Yeah, that's perfect segue to the next one. So the project development is one thing. That's an exposure if you decide not to move forward, but it shouldn't become relevant unless you don't move forward. The next thing is a third-party engineer review, and this is separate from Honeywell. And this is, there's Department of Treasury has DPMC qualified personnel that are auditors and are, you have to use one of the DPMC qualified ones to do a review of our energy savings plan. So that's required to submit it to the Board of Public Utilities for their final check off. And what the third-party engineer will do is check all our calculations, check our numbers, check the efficiencies of the equipment that we're suggesting, and then we'll always do or equal, so we meet those efficiencies. If there's solar involved, check that. They basically check our numbers, do a report, there's back and forth, there always has to be, or the BPU won't like it. And then that report gets submitted, and it's like the BPU looks at that, and then they do their own check on the energy savings plan as well. Make sure we looked at all the rebates properly, make sure nothing's double counted. I mean, we know all the things to do. We've done so many of these, but it's just a check for you so that you can enter into this feeling confident that you have a third-party engineer reviewing this from the technical and financial standpoint. Of course, we'll work with the engineer and architect as directed to, consult with them or use any information they have and et cetera. But so I had a quote from another district that has like 3 more schools in you, and their quote was for like 11,400 for that service. So I would say for you to budget 10 to 15,000 for that service. Once the energy savings plan is done, probably around July, August, September. Yeah, we have to get in and have a meeting and see what the availability of schools are. But, so I was talking to Laura that she'll put a request for a quote out sometime in the early July timeframe so that whoever that is chosen for that service can be ready when our energy savings plan is ready. They do their review, and then it goes to the BPU for their review. So that's the second. And then there's also a requirement when we have our plan ready, we'll want to have an audit. That's like the first step in ESEP is to have, there's the choice to have local government energy audit, which is backed up by 12 to 18 months, or use an independent order for that service. And again, that's sort of just one of these requirements that the BPU has for the Energy Savings Improvement Program. I keep stopping and trying not to do acronyms. So if I do an acronym, please
Appreciate that.
I'll repeat. So, so that audit is typically about 10 cents a square foot. And it's just a requirement of the BPU to have that audit as a basis for this.
So just to be clear, you have the ability through the program to have that LGEA, local government energy audit, done by the government for free. If there's a 12 to 18 month backlog before you get that done, or you pay independent to do it. And in that price range, we're probably looking at about $100,000. But that cost can be rolled into the energy savings funding. So Ms. Allen would go out,
Yes.
get funds for the project, and that could be.
Right, so you can pay yourself back for that service. That's that can be, it's separate from what we do, but when you fund the project through either financing or funding bond, which I know we talked about at one of the buildings and grounds meetings a little bit, most likely with the rates, it'll be a refunding bond. And you could just roll that price in as part of it, and then she could pay the district back, depending how the payments.
Could you repeat, what was the cost of that audit?
I'd say you're probably, based on the square footage, we're about 1 million square feet, somewhere in that range of 10 cents. You're about $100,000 is probably where that would come in.
So I just got, so there's always a cost of delay in these projects, and I just got a quote from a, re-quote on a lighting project for that same district that has just a few more schools than you. And they wrote in big red ink, like, cost of delay is $45,000 per month just for the lighting. Like the savings, like they were just want us to order it. They would just want us to go, like, the school isn't ready, we're going for financing. It takes, sometimes things take, a little time. But so you'll have similar savings results, for this district. So that's what Jerry was,
Yeah, so you do have the
Balancing.
option to save that money. However, you're confident that in a 12 to 18 month period, the amount of energy savings that you're going to have is going to greatly exceed that $100,000. The other thing to keep in mind is, from an infrastructure standpoint, we have HVAC equipment in these schools that is well beyond their life. We go by what's called the ASHRAE standard, the American Society of Heating and Refrigeration Air Conditioning Engineers. And they have timelines for different pieces of equipment. Chiller should last 18 to 20 years. Our equipment is 25 to 30 years old. It's a testament to the maintenance program we have in place that our guys are holding this together, but it's like an old car. If you wait that extra year, you have the potential where you could lose, say, a chiller at a school. Now, if that's the case, as we just saw with the 19-month delivery for the last chiller, you're a year out, then you're 19 months out. After that, you have an exposure there. So there is extra cost, but it helps to eliminate exposure.
Before I open it up to the, I'm sorry, were you done, Ms.
So I
Jackson?
just have one other fee that comes up that's kind of outside the program. So, and this would not be applicable till we're done the project. In New Jersey, the way the legislation is written, you have the choice whether you accept an energy guarantee or not. That's where we go and we look at the baseline energy usage. We collect all the data through the development of the job, and then look at the end energy usage and help do a comparison for you and guarantee the savings. So this is available for every project we build. We offer this as an option, and about 50% of the districts choose it or not, depending on the situation, right? So depending on the mix of savings. So the cost for that service after the project is over, so like I said, it would be in your like 25, 26 year, would be about $50,000. It's based on the size of the district, the number of meters, again, and the complexity of the measures and how we're going to be measuring that. So can't really define that until the project is put together. But Laura and Jerry said it was important so that you knew that that was an option, and we'll ask you during the program if you want to select that or not, and explain it more as we know the project. But just want to get that information out.
So I was gonna ask for your comments from your desk about hearing 100,000 to 10 to 15,000 and 50,000. So,
So knowing that we can add those costs to, well, the $100,000 to the project for the financing is very helpful. And even the cost of the audit, the $12,000, we could also add to the project cost if we those two. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's a really good option for our district to go ahead with this. We can't fit these things into our budget. We don't think the bond finance pass. I think it's a good option for us, being more efficient. The guarantee, if we, were to choose to do that down, for 25, 26, and that's something that can be done, for 1 year, 2 years, however many years we want to do it, or none. We decide how we want to
Yeah.
what are, what you're gonna do with that. But, I think it's okay.
Anybody else has any questions?
We've been a part of this discussion from the beginning, from
Very excited.
buildings and grounds, and I thought from the beginning, I feel like this.
Why aren't we doing
This
this?
is
It's too good to be true.
like, why are we waiting?
That's why I was so, like, the first thing that I did as finance chair was bring this back up because I know this conversation needs
Yeah.
to. Congratulations, we have approval for a ROD grant, which is what Ms. Allen shared today. So I would like to see us move ahead with this so that maybe in that project, we could see some opportunities. I don't know, Mr. Take, if that's possible.
You can. So the nice thing about this two of these coinciding is that the savings we will realize at Appleworth School because of the upgrades we're doing there can piggyback onto this. So it will free up funds for us to use elsewhere in the district. It applies to these things.
So if nobody has any concerns, I am going to recommend from the finance committee that this be put into, what would be the next process? Just put this as a resolution.
Yeah, so we could bring this to the
The
board
board.
on Monday, a resolution, for the co-op, for the company to do this, for Honeywell to do this. And then to accept this, the agreement that.
That you
everybody's
can,
been-
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And to be
And-
clear,
and
we
the-
want to accept the option and not to wait the 12 to 18 months for the free audit to go ahead and proceed now.
So business office is recommending we can go ahead with that, so.
I think it's wise.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited about the opportunity and we'll be, setting up a kickoff meeting to brainstorm and get our technical people introduced to the district, how we can enter the district safely and sign in and to start all our surveys. So it'll be a little time and then we'll be back, to tell you the results.
Looking forward to that. Hopefully Monday this passes without any issues and then we'll take it over.
If you have any questions, please call. If there's anything else I can provide support, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, State. Michelle, the Mets renewal and school lunch prices.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. So yes, we're here to discuss the budget for next year, 24-25, and and how we got to the budget working with Mets. I believe you have the two documents, one price comparison, the other is what's called price launch equity tool.
Yes.
Okay, so we used historical data from this school year and put it into something called Form 23, which is a state form that the state needs to approve as we participate in the National School Lunch Program. So we put in all the data, lunches, a la carte sales, reimbursement, and the total income, all that which equal is $3,022,383. And all the expenses, food, labor, supplies, and the management fee will total $2,921,636, providing the district with a guarantee of 100,000, 107.47 to be exact.
Is this less than before? Was it 100? I don't know.
It was 130,
Okay.
and yeah,
Is there a reason why it's,
well,
would, like, just,
participation is strong.
Okay.
A la carte sales are a little higher, but the cost, right now, the prices that we're charging for lunch are very low. They're extremely low. And we did a projection with participation from the prior year, which is also the year coming back from COVID. And the free year with COVID, participation was 75–80%. So we're now at a more normal, like over 50, we're about 52%, which is really great for our school district, as a district. So we're 50, and some of the schools are a little bit higher, but as a district, we're at about 52% steady, and our carte sales are up. But our meal prices are very low. So if we could look at the comparison sheet, we can see.
great. Would you mind speaking to it for
Sure.
members of the public
Yeah.
that are listening to us tonight who cannot see this?
Oh, absolutely, sure. So,
So everybody gets an idea as to how low we are compared to. other
Yes.
districts. Thank
okay,
you.
so when we prepared the budget, we used the price of $3 for, the elementary, but right now, our elementary price is only $265, and neighboring school districts are at, Manalapan's at $335, elementary. This is all elementary. Cranberry, $450. West Windsor's $3. South Brunswick, $340. Marlboro, $335. Jamesburg, $390. Spotswood, $350. East Brunswick, $310. Metuchen's a little far from here, but it's in Middlesex County, $375. Is that okay that I listed all that? Should I do the same for the?
Yeah, if you, maybe just give the high school numbers now.
Yeah, and what I could do is
That's the
just go
height.
right to the bottom, so
Right.
as well, so so we are, our meal is 80 cents lower for elementary on average than the schools in Middlesex County with their 10 schools, it's 10 districts. The middle school, we're at 89% below the meal price, and at the high school, we're at 74 cents. So at the high school, our meal price is only $2.75, and it's very difficult, it's extremely challenging to create a meal and pay the minimum wage that just went up to $15.13 January 1st, the labor and the food. It's extremely challenging, and I'm pretty proud that we have been able this year to provide a return, but it's hard to do. It's going to be, we can't do that kind of return moving forward. And we'll get to the PLE tool too as to why as well. But, so we're at 275, West Windsor's at 335. South Brunswick's at 365. This is this year. Spotswood's 385. East Brunswick is 360, and Metuchen is 375. So on average, 349 is about what the high schools are charging, and we're charging 275.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of the product that we're putting out for the students. And we brought in, I wanted to just say a few things, just a few comments about the food service. We've designed our menus with Met's Culinary Management that are appealing, and they offer many new selections and trends. We do offer local pizzeria 1 day a week and local bagels in the schools. We've brought in product upgrades this year. Tyson's line of all white meat, fillets and tenders, Land O'Lakes cheese, Shenio all natural turkey breast, that's very delicious. Many vegetarian options, and a significant increase this year in local fresh fruit and veggies. And the students really seem to enjoy them. Our a la carte sales are up. Some of the favorites include the new NV carbonated water, Indiana popcorn. These are the fun little extras that some of the students do buy. Splash Fizz, whole grain cookies. Participation is nice. It's steady. It's great. It's over 50%. Students are using their swipe cards as they go through the line, building efficiency. They have time for their meal, more than enough time for the meal, and then they can socialize with their friends or their classmates. And we do attend regularly the student liaison committee meetings, maybe some on the board. Maybe you would like to come to some of our future meetings too. They're a lot of fun. We put out samplings, let the students see what's available in the cafeteria. We talk about it. We get their opinions. We have other meetings too with the kids. We have what's called youth advisory committee meetings. We go out with the elementaries. We meet with some of the adults. Sometimes the principal sits in on the meeting, but they're little focus groups about the food service. So we get their opinions, their feedback, and when we can bring in their recommendations, we try to do that too. So in order to create this budget for the upcoming school year, we must have that. We are asking for the increase to $3 in the elementary, $3.05 in the middle, and $3.10, which is a 35 cents increase per meal. This is something that as we participate in the National School Lunch Program, we do on an annual basis. This was done at the end of last school year. The PLE tool, Price Lunch Equity Tool. We put data from the lunch program, how many meals at the price, and then there's a whole formula in there, and you can see we did raise our price. Required price for 23-24 was $271, and we did go up a little bit, and we went to $265, $270, and $275. At that time, that was a 15 cents increase. So we have a remaining amount of 34 cents, so we rounded it to 35 for the 24-25 school year to increase the meal by 35 cents. So again, that would bring the price to $3, excuse me, for elementary, middle 305, and high school 310. The split session kindergarten milk can only go as high, according to the state, is 35 cents. We can't even go any higher. And we are paying 31 cents for every milk container, so. But that, I brought their maximum pricing to, the state's maximum pricing. So that PLE tool, the rule, why they have that tool, it's very small print, but there's a little note in there that says the weighted average price, 22-23, weighted average price equal to or above the target price of 356. And that's compliant for the 23-24 school year. 356 is the number, is the difference between the free and the paid reimbursement for the 22 year. So what the state and the federal government are saying is that our paid meals cannot be subsidized by free reimbursement. And in a district like Monroe, we're rather unique. We have some schools in district that are 5% free and reduced, and we have now schools that are up to 12%, even 13 free and reduced, teetering on 13%. So we're not what's called high rate, which is 60% free and reduced, where we get a high reimbursement rate. We get the lower reimbursement rates because we don't have a high free and reduced population. So the reimbursement we get from the state for every paid meal served is only 46 cents, but for every free meal, we are getting $4.32. So the rationale from the state is that you're not supposed to be using your free reimbursement to subsidize those paid meals. Like paid meals have to go up, they require this 35 cents. Sounds a little complicated, doesn't it?
Very informative. What percentage of our student population is in the free and subsidized?
It's it's always between like 9 and 10%, but that's all districts. So there are schools in the district that are 12%, 12 and 13%, but then we have schools in the district that are 5%. Have to go on to 3 or 5%, 4%, 4.5%.
So as per your calculator, the amount for the lunches went up by 15 cents last year,
Yes,
and this year we're going up by 35 cents.
yes.
And is there a reason why is it just a portion plan? The gap between the three schools is 5 cents. So elementary is $3, middle school is $3.05, and $3.10. So is there a reasoning behind it that you could share?
That's a good question. There are maximum allowances for elementary, middle, and high, but we're nowhere near the maximum pricing. But to answer your question, I pretty much just followed suit. And when we put the numbers in the spreadsheet, we technically could charge the same price for middle and high school. But I followed suit, a 35 cents increase based on the prior year's number. Because the food is basically the same in the middle and high school.
I was just gonna say,
The elementary is a little different because we don't have full service kitchens.
yeah,
So it's more of a heat and serve, they're not equipped with steamers, say, to do pastas and rice. You'll have to do it at the middle school and send it over. But they can prepare everything else. We have beautiful facilities that are very well maintained.
Ms. Allen, are we able to forecast what our revenue would be if we go with these numbers versus the 100,000 that we projected for? Let's see. Right? Are we able to?
Yes, the revenue would be,
Because I don't believe we have that attachment.
No, we don't. We can provide that to acting.
sure. Absolutely. Form 23. This is a budget of all the schools in the state on the National School Lunch Program. There are schools that are not on the National School Lunch Program, and they may be in this area as well.
Okay.
That are not on the National School Lunch Program, but we have to participate in the National School Lunch Program because we have over 5% free and reduced. That's the threshold. So you might go to Hopewell Valley and they're not on the National School. So they don't have to, we have a little more regulation we have to follow and restrictions, even for the menu itself. And I brought an article and just share something brief about that. But absolutely, we can send you this so you can see where all the the labor, even the reimbursement is on here, the cost of food and
Okay.
all the expenses, all the revenue is there too. That derives to that 3,022,000. Yes.
Right. I'm gonna open it for questions. Anybody have any questions?
I think our lunches are so cheap.
Yeah.
Which, did they have the data now,
Yeah.
the crew compared,
They are.
like 80 cents cheaper on an average than our neighboring districts,
I
so.
don't think a 35% increase is much of anything, and I think even if we charge the same middle and high school,
Mhm.
the only difference I will say is that the high school pizza is better than the district.
You would know.
Well, the high school has a little more of a facility.
That's what I mean, there's
Yeah.
more.
Usually too,
The only
we
difference-
take the fresh dough balls, we press
Yeah.
them, we have the machine that presses them, which, by the way, we've gotten some of those machines from USDA equipment grants that didn't cost the district any money. Brand new machine last year, in fact.
That is wonderful.
Isn't
Thank
that great?
you. Anything that happens with grant money is so particular, especially when it's good like that.
Well, keep applying because it is great.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And
No,
like you
that's
said,
fabulous. I mean, it's, where can you get lunch for $3.25?
Nowhere.
Can't even
Yeah.
get close to pizza.
We
$3.25.
get participation from the adults too, a lot of the faculty and staff, and they say the same thing, where do I get a lunch for $3.75?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
quite a bargain, and they're $1 more than the students.
Yeah.
and I did want you to read those numbers out for neighboring districts because no price hike is ever well received. And so there will be questions around it, and
Yes.
because we've shared what our neighboring districts are doing, it's justified too, even though, and honestly, for the quality of food that the kids are getting, hopefully it would be one that everybody will bite real quick.
We just briefly mentioned too, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Okay, about making middle school and high school the same.
I would think it's a good idea
Yeah.
to do that.
I'm fine with that. I think it's a good idea.
That's
Yeah.
great, it would help the bottom line if we can go up a nickel.
Yeah, I would say.
And like you mentioned, the wages and, running the operations,
We will
Yeah, I
just
think
add a
that's
nickel
good.
and you'll see the difference in the price, it's
right, it,
$20,000 more to the bottom line.
if most of us are agreeing, we have to wait for the full board to, vote on it, but,
And then this is due to the state by, we have plenty of time, we have until the 31st of May.
well,
Okay.
13th, we
But
will
if
have
we
it on.
Monday, we have-
On Monday, the 13th. Okay, and we'll make that adjustment. We'll add the, thank you. Maybe note of that. We'll add the nickel to the middle school so that the middle school.
So we're-
high school will
we're-
be 310.
As a committee, we are recommending $3 for elementary and $3.10 for middle school and high school.
Yes.
All right, no more questions? Yes.
In the earlier meeting on the legislative action and everything, there are more opportunities for the free and reduced lunch programs. So as this cost goes up, maybe just reinforcing that application is out there. And if people are concerned about the cost, look into if they might qualify for that service.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. All right, thank you, Michelle.
Okay, finished. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You as well.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the monthly review of attorney fees. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to bring them up right now. I personally don't have any questions. All right, I see everybody shaking their head. That's great. I'm not going to be taking up too much of BG&T time. The next item on the agenda is monthly review of the bill list. Any questions on that? I did ask Ms. Allen one question earlier, it was about the toners. I have a follow-up question, it'll be real quick. I have a vague recollection that we budgeted less for it this year. And you said it's every 3 or 4 weeks that we're paying that amount, so how did we budget less? What are we taking?
Well, Mr. Feldman has been working on a plan to reduce the toner usage, because we do use a lot of toner in this district. We're going to put more we'd like to purchase more copiers, because it's cheaper to use the copiers than the toner. So we can get more copiers out there and even like put restrictions. He's been working hard on, coming up with
Good
plans,
practices.
put restrictions on, have people use the copiers instead of not, print everything.
Yeah, so the frequency of those orders is a result of ordering it as we need it.
Right.
So there's not like a room in the back of the high school that's got stacks and stacks of toner. right? So we would just do a bulk order. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, we found another co-op vendor that almost cut our toner costs in half without changing usage. So it was just a cheaper price. And I think we all have seen as a consumer, you go to buy an inkjet printer, sometimes it's cheaper to buy the printer again than it is to get the ink cartridges to refill, right? So put that on the scope of a laser jet printer, most of the work printers are, and so toner cartridges range from, I think the cheapest one's $190, and there are some toner cartridges that are in excess of $300 or $400. So we're not blowing through them like you would your home inkjet printer, but many of them go through one a year. So that's why you see these orders of, say, $15,000, where he's, well, ordering what he needs based on the tickets that are coming in. And one of the tasks we gave him as we were entering the budget was to, I think we gave him a task of reducing it, and it was close to a 50% reduction in his budgeted toner for next school year. We have the capacity to print to copiers in the buildings. They're already in existence. Many of the copiers, there are in the budget, there are copiers that are out of use right now that will be replaced as a natural process. They will all be linked in, and I don't have the per sheet price, but it's a fraction of a cent to print directly from the teacher's computer or laptop to the photocopier, as opposed to, say 3-4 cents a piece that comes out of the classroom printer. So it's about changing a habit, changing, where they're printing. It's not about necessarily the volume of what they're printing, because obviously what they need is they're either printing one and copying it, or they're just going to print it right to the copier. So it's just a little bit of a change in process. Again, it's not about the volume, because we're not a 1-to-1 K-8. We recognize that. We can have different expectations for the high school than we do about paper usage. It's just about kind of changing our habits and things. So he's been monitoring which printers in the district. Each printer has basically monitoring software, so he knows who's been printing, and if there are certain people that are using it in excess, we have communicated with them in an individual basis and kind of said, hey, what's going on? Why are you using it this way? Do we need a different tool for you to print with, and so we're being proactive, we're supporting the staff, but we're also cognizant, I think we could look back and, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars on toner, and we're way lower than we were many, many years ago. And it's something that I think he should be very proud of since he took over. And I don't want to talk exact numbers, but it's at least 50% or more reduction in toner usage with minimal impact of what's been produced here. So it's something to think, and it's one of those things, toner is not a glamorous item to talk about, but it is a massive number in our budget, in his budget specifically. So.
And thank you for sharing all of that, because that's the reason I brought it up. I remember that budget conversation, and then there was $27,000 in our bill list for toners, and it's a frequent item. So the fact that it's you're saying we're already, down a lot from before, and good luck to you guys to keep the focus on, and, kudos to Mr. Feldman for taking it on. I hope we see the numbers reducing in our list too. So with that, I think we can move on to of course, I'm logged out now, to the contract renewals. Do you want to take them up one by one, Ms. Allen, and see if anybody has any questions?
Sure. Okay, so the first one is Phoenix Advisors. That's for our municipal advisor for financial services. We use them every year for this service. They will come in. We will use them. We've been using them for many, many years. They're great to work with. With a good relationship with them. We call them anytime. They don't bill us. We will use them for the ESIP. We will use them for use them for bond referendums, everything financial, anything to do with bonds, refunding bonds. They keep an eye on that to see when we should refund, regarding the rates. So that is the first one. Phoenix.
And
And
the only amount that we are contracting with them,
is for the continuing disclosure, so it's $1,350.
and the rest is as we use this.
As we use them, yeah. So, and that's a required report that we have to have every year because of our bonds.
Anybody, any concerns on that one?
Okay.
Anyone?
Okay, so the next one, CDK renewal. That is our accounting program and our requisition program. So that's $3,000, $31.25 for the requisition program and $8,040 for the accounting program. We've been using them for many, many years. Very happy with them. Okay. Ed Data.
Just interrupt her if you have any
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. sure.
Ed Data is our purchasing co-op, so that's 10,680, which we realize a lot of savings by using them every year. Yeah, I think it was $250,000 almost in savings using that co-op. Yeah, so that's just one of the co-ops we use. That's the main one that we use. CSI renewal, that's
300, I just want to say that number, $358,540 for 2023-2024 school year. Savings that we realized through using that data. Thank you.
CSI, that's our payroll and HR software. And that's for the software support and the data backup. So 7,920 is for the software support, $6,000 is for the data backup. Aviana Healthcare is the
The CSI is used by our HR
and
and
payroll.
payroll.
Yeah.
That's the only department that's using.
Yep.
it.
And we've been using them for several years now.
Okay.
Aviana Healthcare is the for student related services, nurses, therapists, psychologists and such, on an as needed basis. Beata, nursing services, as needed. Paul's commodity hauling is for the hauling of the commodities. For the state commodities from the warehouse to the schools. And that, I think it's. That's it, there's a price listing there for various things.
And we've been using the same.
Yes.
Contract,
Yep.
service provider for that.
Frontline education renewals, we have the, there's 3 pieces or 4 pieces on that, actually, the evaluations, for 5,591, professional development, $16,416, and then ASOP is $28,000. And AppleTrack is $5,375. So that's all under Frontline. Jersey Shore Ice Arena Agreement, that's a part of this is the second year of a 3-year contract, so, that's for our hockey, team. Kroll, so that's our fixed asset, appraisal company, so they come in every year, that's part of our, has to go into our audit report, so they come in and they, give us a report, we give them the additions and anything we've been disposed of, and they have a report that, ongoing report, and they calculate depreciation and such, and they keep that. It's a pretty good report of everything we have. They also did run a report for insurance purposes based on those, prices, the fixed assets. The fixed asset report for the audit report is based on cost and insurance is replacement value. So it's 2 different reports they provide for us. We use them every year. At some point, several years ago, we had them come out and do an inventory, physical inventory of everything. They come out and every single thing. And then, so since then, we just update it every year. So at some point, we should really do that again.
Is that an additional
It's
cost?
an additional cost. I would say, I believe when we did that the last time, it was $16,000. It's probably,
How long ago was that?
been about 7 years since we've done that physical.
And assets have significantly changed in that time?
Well, yeah, I mean, they do change. It's good to get the physical inventory because sometimes you don't know about all the things that have been disposed of, and so it's not a complete accurate report. forward. You know, we do provide them with everything that we purchased for the year that they can improve, but it's a good idea every, so often to get that done, the actual physical inventory.
So are you recommending,
Maybe for the fall. Not this budget year, unless you want to do it this budget year, but it's not in our budget, so we might want to wait until the following year.
following year then?
And
Yes.
that in our budget.
We should definitely plan for it in the following year if it's been that long.
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
That
So that is that.
that is it.
I think that's it.
Yes, that's it.
I think
Thank you very much. We are just a little later than we should have been. That covers everything on the finance committee agenda tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.